If you're like many people, you never really feel like you have much money, no matter how hard you work or how much you earn. It's as if no matter how much progress you make, it never feels like enough. You're always chasing the next financial milestone, yet still feeling like you're struggling. But why does this happen? Why do some people continue to feel poor, even when on paper they're doing quite well? Let's dive into some of the reasons you might feel financially strained, even if your situation is actually pretty good. Stay to the end because you might deserve more credit than you're giving yourself. One big reason you might feel financially stuck, even when you're not, is that you're not giving yourself enough credit for the progress you've already made. It's easy to get caught up in the constant grind, always chasing the next milestone, whether it's securing a higher paying job, growing your savings, or upgrading your lifestyle. While ambition is great, it can also make you overlook the solid foundation you've already built. Sometimes, it helps to take a step back and recognize the essentials that put you ahead of many people. Having a stable job, being able to pay your bills on time, keeping food on the table, and owning a car to get you where you need to go. These might seem like small, everyday things, but they're actually major achievements that will help you reach the next level. What might feel routine to you is something others are still striving for. Financial success isn't about hitting massive milestones or experiencing life-changing moments. It's about the steady, consistent progress that adds up over time. By taking the time to acknowledge and appreciate how far you've come, you can shift your mindset from focusing on what you lack to recognizing what you've worked hard to achieve. And sometimes, that simple perspective shift can make all the difference in how you feel about your financial situation. If you constantly compare yourself to others, you're almost guaranteed to feel poor no matter how much you actually have. Even if you're doing well financially, better than a lot of people, you'll always find someone who's ahead of you, earning more, living in a bigger house, driving a nicer car, or going on more extravagant vacations. And when you focus on those people, it's easy to overlook your own progress and feel like you're falling behind. Even worse, our minds have a way of romanticizing other people's lives, making it seem like they have it all figured out while we're still struggling. But the truth is, you're only seeing a curated version of their successes. When you see them in person, they're telling you all about their achievements, but they're certainly not sharing their struggles. This is especially true in the age of social media, where people tend to showcase their best moments while hiding their struggles. This kind of comparison is not only unfair to yourself, but it also steals your joy and blinds you to everything you've already accomplished. As the saying goes, comparison is the thief of joy, and if you're always measuring your success against others, you'll never feel satisfied no matter how far you've come. Maybe one reason you feel discouraged or poor, despite doing quite well for yourself, is that you're setting the bar too high. It's easy to get caught up in big dreams and high expectations, constantly pushing yourself towards ambitious goals that might be unrealistic or incredibly difficult to achieve in a short amount of time. While aiming high can be motivating, it can also leave you feeling like you're never doing enough, no matter how much progress you actually make. You might feel poor simply because your younger self imagined being a billionaire by 30, living in a mansion, driving luxury cars, or retiring early to travel the world. When reality doesn't align with those lofty expectations, it's easy to feel disappointed, even if, in truth, you're financially stable and making responsible choices. Setting goals is an excellent habit, but the problem with setting overly lofty goals that are too far out of reach is that they can become discouraging rather than inspiring. Instead of celebrating how far you've come, you might focus too much on how far you still have to go, which can make you feel stagnant, even when you're actually progressing. Recognizing and appreciating the accomplishments you've already made, even if it's not exactly where you envision yourself, can help you shift your mindset. After all, achieving something, even if it's not perfection, is still an accomplishment worth celebrating. Many people who are diligently contributing to their 401k, IRA, or savings, or setting aside money for a major purchase like a home, often feel like they're barely making any progress. One of the reasons for this is that you don't really realize the benefits of investing until a much later date, because the compounding takes time to accelerate. Your account might not begin to noticeably grow for a long time, which can be discouraging, even though you know those contributions are going to pay exponential rewards. Regardless, these people might still experience a sense of defeat, as if there's little to no money left over for everyday expenses or the occasional splurge. It's frustrating to work hard, manage your finances wisely, and still feel like you're struggling just to get by. This feeling is understandable because when a significant portion of your income is being directed elsewhere, especially towards long-term goals, it's not immediately accessible for your day-to-day needs. It can feel like your money is disappearing into a black hole, leaving you with little flexibility in your budget. At the end of the day, even though you're technically building wealth and making extremely smart financial moves, it doesn't always feel that way. Since there's nothing extra sitting in your bank account that you can freely spend, it can seem as if you're stuck in the same place financially. But in reality, you're laying the groundwork for a more secure future, even if it doesn't feel rewarding in the present moment. It might feel like you haven't made any progress, and that can be incredibly frustrating. Maybe your income hasn't increased as much as you'd hoped, your debt still feels overwhelming, or your net worth doesn't seem to be growing as quickly as you want. When you're focused on the day-to-day, it's easy to feel stuck, as if you're spinning your wheels without moving forward. However, if you take a step back and look at the larger picture, there's a good chance you've made a lot more progress than you're giving yourself credit for. Try shifting your perspective by looking at different time frames. Instead of obsessing over where you are right now, reflect where you were a month ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, or even 5 years ago. What's changed? Maybe you've paid down a significant portion of your debt, increased your savings, or landed a better job, even if it didn't feel like a huge leap at the time. Progress isn't always obvious in the short term, but when you zoom out, you'll likely notice you've come a long way. The little wins, like making consistent payments on your loans, putting aside even a small amount of savings, seeing slow and steady net worth growth, or gaining new skills that could lead to better career opportunities, all add up over time. It's easy to fall into the trap of feeling like you're not moving forward, especially if you're comparing yourself to others or focusing only on where you want to be rather than where you started. But financial growth, like any kind of progress, happens gradually. Just because you haven't reached your ultimate goal yet doesn't mean you haven't made meaningful strides. Sometimes, taking a moment to acknowledge and appreciate your journey can be the motivation you need to keep pushing forward. Sometimes feeling poor isn't about your actual financial situation, it's about how you perceive it. Your mindset and past experiences with money play a huge role in shaping how financially secure you feel, regardless of your current reality. If you grew up in a household where money was tight, you might carry that scarcity mindset into adulthood, even if you're now financially stable. This can make you feel like you're always one step away from disaster, leading to anxiety and stress about money, no matter how much you actually have. Even with a steady income and savings, you might still operate from a place of financial fear, worried that everything could come crashing down at any moment. If you faced struggles in the past, such as job loss, overwhelming debt, or difficulty affording basic necessities, you might still feel the emotional weight of those experiences, even after your situation has improved. Money-related stress has a lasting impact, and it can be difficult to shake that sense of insecurity, even when things are objectively better. Instead of feeling relief from your progress, you might continue to worry about the what-ifs, afraid that financial hardship could return at any time. This lingering fear can make you feel poorer than you really are, trapping you in a mindset that prevents you from fully recognizing and appreciating your financial stability. Without a clear financial target, it can feel like you're making no progress, since you never seem to get any closer to your intended goals. This often leads to the false belief that financial success requires an unlimited amount of money. However, most people don't actually need millions to live a happy, fulfilling life. They just need enough to support the lifestyle they desire. A major part of this uncertainty comes from not knowing what financial freedom truly means on a personal level. For example, many people say they want to retire early or achieve financial independence, but they haven't determined what that looks like for them. Instead of chasing vague aspirations, it's important to ask yourself specific questions. What kind of lifestyle do you want during retirement? Will you travel frequently, own multiple homes, or live more simply? How much annual income will you need to support that lifestyle? Once these details are clear, you can calculate a realistic savings target. One common method is the 4% rule, which says you need about 25 times your annual expenses saved to retire comfortably. By defining these numbers, financial goals become more tangible and attainable. Having a concrete number to work towards creates clarity and direction, making financial progress feel more meaningful. Instead of endlessly chasing more, you can focus on reaching the specific amount that allows you to live life on your own terms. In the end, you'll feel more accomplished as you work towards those goals. Even if someone owns valuable assets like a house, a business, or stocks, they can still feel financially tight if they don't have enough cash available for everyday expenses. It's easy to assume that owning property or having investments means you're financially set, but the reality is that these assets aren't always liquid. If most of your wealth is tied up in things that can't quickly be converted to cash, it can leave you scrambling when unexpected costs arise, whether it's a medical bill, a car repair, or just the regular expense of daily life. That feeling of being broke can hit hard, especially when there's no cash cushion to rely on. To avoid this, it's important to strive for a few months of living expenses in your checking account for quick access, as well as having 3 to 6 months worth of expenses in savings or a high-yield savings account. This gives you the flexibility to handle emergencies or even just the normal ups and downs of life without worrying about dipping into assets that you can't easily sell. With this kind of safety net in place, you won't feel like you're living on the edge, no matter how much you have tied up in property or investments. Having enough liquidity helps create peace of mind and allows you to focus on long-term financial goals without constantly feeling stressed about the next unexpected expense. Feeling poor when you're not is often more about mindset than actual financial hardship. While external factors like inflation and cost of living can contribute to financial stress, much of your feeling comes from unrealistic expectations, constant comparison, and not recognizing your own progress. By shifting your focus from what you lack to what you've accomplished, you can develop a healthier and more realistic perspective on your financial situation. You might not be exactly where you want to be yet, but that doesn't mean you're not on the right path.